I mean, it is extraordinary, and he has decided to finally make a decision on Yevgeny Prigozhin because he was forced to, and come down extremely hard. I mean, yesterday we had the FSB saying that this was an armed rebellion, accusing him of effectively treason with an arrest warrant, criminal arrest warrant. Now we have Putin saying, this will not be stood for, it will be put down, reminding the Russian people of his reasons for invading Ukraine. I'll just quote you that. We must remember that virtually the entire military, economic and information machine of the West is directed against us, Putin said. And I think that is just to reinforce why he did it, because Prigozhin yesterday has said essentially in the last of numerous tirades against the Russian armed forces, that the only reason that the war in Ukraine happened was because Shoigu, the defence minister, wanted extra medals, that it was basically to make the army look good. Really extraordinary developments. Now,
Evgeny Prigozhin, of course, he's head of the Wagner mercenary group, who have pretty much carried out the only victory for Russia, really, in recent months with Bakhmut. And he's now claiming that he's taken control of the Russian military headquarters in the south of the country. His criticism hasn't been directly of President Putin, though, has it? It's been more of the defence ministry and the defence leadership. But how significant do you think this could be in terms of splintering Vladimir Putin's power base?
Well, I mean, so Wagner now doesn't have the kind of power that it did before Bakhmut. I mean, lots and lots of its fighters were killed. So that's the first thing. Down in the south of Russia, that's essentially where its forces are assembled, around the Krasnodar region. It has its training base, which is incidentally alongside the GRU, military intelligence. They literally hold the same sort of training base together around Krasnodar. So that's where the sort of bulk of his fighting force is. We understand that they have taken control of military headquarters in Rostov-on-Don. That's the centre of the Southern Military Command. We also have heard reports that there is a column on its way to Moscow and that they've taken control of Voronezh, which is a sort of city halfway there. Prigozhin is not one of the elites. This isn't about splintering the elites. This remains, if it is a coup, a military coup. It remains, the army and the mercenary force would fight each other. The army is a much, much bigger force than Yevgeny Prigozhin has. So I don't really know, unless he's managed to persuade a lot of people inside the army to join him, and we have yet to see whether that's the case, how he can possibly, by force of numbers, do what he wants to do, which is unseat the top military command.
And just very briefly, in one of his videos overnight, Evgeny Prigozhin said that the invasion of Ukraine was based on lies. Do you think that will have much impact with the Russian people?
I think that the people have been told so many different things. They have all formed their views on what this invasion was all about. I think that they, this is a sort of undermining of the whole concept of order, which is what the Russians have sort of held on to ever since the 90s, and which Vladimir Putin has promised to restore. And the whole Ukraine war has upset that to a certain extent. And I think what Prigozhin says, some people will believe it, some people won't. I mean, I think it's difficult to believe that Ukraine began because Shoigu wanted to, brass himself up in the eyes of Putin. But it will certainly add to the confusion and the uncertainty and the feeling amongst the Russian people that this is not going well.
OK, Diana, thanks so much for that insight. Thank you.